Thank you for jumping in here with us here on today's Sports Report, brought to you by UGA Football News on Facebook and Instagram. I'm Chris Hall, your host. Matthew Hall's off tonight. Thought we would just jump in here and talk a little bit about Georgia recruiting. Of course, it was the early recruiting day today. If you have a comment or a question, you can post it for us, and we'll try our very best to answer it. And if we can't answer it, we'll make up something that'll sound good. Not really, but we'll. If you want to jump in, you can do that. Early signing day today. So here's the bottom line at the moment. This is the bottom line at the moment as far as recruiting for today. The number one ranked team nationally with the best recruiting class at the moment is Texas A&M. Texas A&M had a super duper day, big day today. They signed a lot of their targets, flipped a couple of players here and there. Did really good. Texas A&M piled it on. Now this is according to 247sports.com. Also, a couple of the other recruiting services placing Texas A&M as number one with the number one recruiting class for the early signing period. Alabama follows with the number two class, just slightly behind Texas A&M. So you have two SEC schools, 1 and 2, Texas A&M and Alabama. Coming in number 3 is Georgia. Georgia, the number 3 ranked recruiting class, according to 247sports.com as of today. Now, this is the early signing period. February 2nd will be, I guess, the traditional date of signing, and Georgia has several players that have said they are committed to Georgia who will wait until February 2nd, and we'll talk about them in just a moment, to actually sign with the University of Georgia. So you have 3 SEC teams sitting atop the recruiting classes, the recruiting groups for today: Texas A&M, Alabama, and Georgia. So there you go, SEC. Followed by Ohio State. Ohio State finished strong, had a pretty good recruiting day today. Texas may be the surprise recruiting story of the day. They have the number 5 ranked team at the moment, or the number 5 ranked class at the moment in recruiting as of today, followed by Penn State, Notre Dame, North Carolina, Michigan, and Oklahoma. So those are the top 10 recruiting classes as of right now. Of course, this is the early signing day to day. The official, I guess, whatever you call it, the traditional signing day is February 2nd. Georgia still has some guys who plan on signing that day, and that has to do with some of them academics, and some of them want to be on the dais with their teammates. They have some teammates that might be signing as well, maybe to some lesser schools, or not lesser schools, but not power schools like the University of Georgia, and they want to be with their teammates. So we can understand that. Just to recap for today, some of the timeline for today at around 4:45, Sean Washington announced that he was a signee for the University of Georgia. Florida really made a big press for Washington, who is a 3-star defensive lineman, but he did stick with the University of Georgia. A big one for Georgia. At around 4:30, Georgia landed 5-star edge Marvin Jones Jr. And he's a 5-star. Big signee, big get for the University of Georgia. Georgia beat out Alabama and Florida State. In fact, Jones's dad played for Florida State. At around 4 o'clock, Kamari Wilson, a longtime UGA lean, committed to Florida. Georgia lost a lean to Florida. So that kind of stung a little bit, that Kamari Wilson would commit to Florida. At around 2 o'clock, running back Jordan James made it known he will not be signing until February 2nd, but he still intends to sign with Georgia. And he said, "I'm not signing today because I'm on vacation." Well, you go. Oh, me. At around 12:45, 5-star cornerback Dalen Everett Four-star offensive lineman Alu Ba, Alu Ba or Bay, made it official. They signed with Georgia around 12:30 as well. Top 100 cornerback Julian Humphrey from Houston Clear Lake signed with Georgia, and then the Georgia throughout the day getting a lot of just a lot of great players. It's a great recruiting class, the number 3 ranked class at the moment. Now that could change. In fact, I think there are a couple of players who are still yet to make their announcement today that Georgia has been in the mix with. But all in all, you can't quibble with the number 3 ranked recruiting class in the nation. Again, Texas A&M right now, according to 247 Sports, and how they do their calculations with the 5 stars and the 4 stars and the 3 stars, and the number of recruits that are signed and things like that. They have Texas A&M number 1, Alabama number 2 in the rankings. Kind of an interesting, kind of a weird thing happened today. Weird and interesting and earthquaking. I don't know if that's a word or not, but kind of an earthquake in as far as recruiting is concerned. See, here's the scenario, the storyline. Travis Hunter is the nation's number 1 recruit out of high school for the 2022 class. He had made his choice known that he was going to go with Florida State, but when it came time for him to make his announcement today, Travis Hunter did not sign with Florida State. He signed with Jackson State. Deion Sanders, the guy on the commercials with Nick Saban, the Aflac commercials, who's wanting the coat. That Deion Sanders, the Deion Sanders that played for the Atlanta Braves and the Atlanta Falcons and Florida State, prime time. Now he's the coach at Jackson State, and you know what the man did today? He was a pretty good base stealer when he played for the Braves. Deion, obviously, a lot of speed, and so he stole a lot of bases when he was playing for the Braves. Well, you know what he did today? He stole the number 1 ranked recruit in the 2022 class. Tremendous surprise, turning everything upside down for a little while in recruiting. Travis Hunter signing with Jackson State. Hunter is something. I forgot what position he plays. Anyway, he's a 5-star, number one guy on the board, and he goes with Jackson State instead of Florida State. So, congratulations to Neon Deion. You shake the thing up there, Let's see. Here's a list of Georgia recruits. I mean, there are a lot of names here, and but here's our 5 stars. We have let's see, Malik Starks, who's an athlete, Jaheim Singletary, a cornerback, Michael Williams from Columbus, a defensive lineman, Dalen Everett, a cornerback. Those are the 5 stars. And in fact, there are 5 stars. Marvin Jones, rather. His letter of intent has arrived, and so he's another 5-star added to the class. And then you have following them, Jalen Walker from North Carolina, linebacker, Bear Alexander, from Texas, signed defensive lineman. He's a 4-star athlete. Branson Robinson from Madison, Mississippi, a running back, 4-star. Gunnar Stockton. Gunnar. If Gunnar Stockton doesn't win the Heisman Trophy just on his name, it'll be a surprise. Gunnar Stockton. I mean, seriously, Gunnar. Yeah, what a name for a quarterback. Gunnar Stockton from Tiger, Georgia, Rabun County. He signed with the University of Georgia, 4-star. Oscar Delp, big tight end, 4-star tight end, signed with Georgia. Let's see, Julian Humphrey from Houston, Texas, 4-star cornerback. C.J. Washington, Cedartown, Georgia, linebacker, 4-star. Chandler Smith Big to do about Chandler Smith from Florida signing with Georgia, four-star athlete and fast as lightning, fastest high schooler probably in the state of Florida. In fact, when he comes to Georgia, he's going to play football and run track. Denylin Morissette from Kennesaw, Georgia, wide receiver, four-star, signing with Georgia today. Ja'Cory Thomas from Orlando, Florida, safety, four-star. Carlton Madden, Ellenwood, Georgia, he's an edge rusher, four-star. Alu Ba from Florida, offensive tackle, four-star. Jacob Hood, Nashville, Tennessee, offensive tackle, he's a three-star. Sean Washington from New Orleans, signing with Georgia. Drew Bobo, of course, legacy, son of a legacy, that Bobo, yeah, that Bobo, Drew Bobo, signing with Georgia. Offensive tackle, three-star. Cole Spear, wide receiver. Griffin Skoggs, inside linebacker. Brent Thorson. Yeah, Brett Thorson. I'm sorry, Brett Thorson from Australia. Yes, signing as a punter, three-star punter. There's a school in Australia where Australian kickers, punters, whatever, are trained in American football. I guess they play soccer or whatever, and then they say, hey, you're pretty good. You want to get trained in how to kick a football in America? You can make some money. So there's a school down there that has had tremendous production. I mean, produced a lot of good punters with that Australian style kicking thing. And Brett Thorson is one of those. He's from, he was at Pro Kick Australia. That's the name of the school, Pro Kick Australia. So there you go. Anyway, he signed. Marvin Jones again, he did sign, so we have that five-star. Marquise Groves Killebrew. We have some of these guys who have made a commitment, but they're saying, "Hey, we're not going to sign until later." Let me get my stack of stuff here. Our producer got it for us. Jordan James, running back, will sign February 2nd. Edge rusher Darius Smith will sign February 2nd. They're committed to Georgia, but they're waiting to the traditional date to sign, and there's different reasons for that. Some of it has to do with academics. Wide receiver Dylan Bell will sign February 2nd as well. Outside linebacker Marvin Jones will sign. He's already signed. So he's in the fold. So all in all, yeah, I know. If you want to do a little more study on exactly who Georgia signed today, you say, well, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? Well, the big deal is, boy, you load up with these five stars with these athletes. You can't win a football game without athletes. And Georgia loaded up again. In fact, there's probably, think about the defense that Georgia put on the field this year. What we're looking at today probably is the best defensive recruiting class that Georgia has ever had, especially in the defensive backfield. Loaded up big time. And of course, there are some offensive stars as well. So congratulations to Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart is a relentless recruiter. And if you can't recruit, you're not going to be on his staff. I just, no matter how good you can do on the sideline, no matter how good you can do in the practice with your assigned group that you're going to be working with for the Bulldogs, if you can't recruit, you're not going to be at the University of Georgia, at least for very long. Congratulations to Kirby Smart. Another, last year I think Georgia wound up with the number 4 class. This year, currently, they're at the number 3 class. Now, for a long time today, Georgia, was number 1. And then Alabama kind of edged ahead of Georgia, and then Texas A&M had a strong day today. So in the SEC East, kind of interesting. In the SEC East, you got Texas A&M and Alabama loading up again. That's going to be quite a rivalry, in the days to come. Of course, Texas A&M knocking off Alabama this year. The SEC had a very good day. Kentucky had a good day. South Carolina Congratulations to Shane Beamer and his guys. They had a pretty decent day today as well. Florida picked up some some recruits. And it's not a highly touted class, but they did pick up some good recruits. The SEC just killed it in recruiting today, all up and down the board, and so the strong get stronger in as far as recruiting is concerned. So you got Texas A&M, Alabama, and Georgia. You might wonder how Dan Lanning did today. Dan, of course, leaving the University of Georgia at the end of the playoffs. Whenever the playoffs end, when we get through beating Alabama in the national championship game, then Dan Lanning will be off to Eugene, Oregon. You might wonder how. This has got to be weird. Uh, Dan Lanning is still on the staff of the University of Georgia. He's been recruiting for Georgia. Now he's the head coach at Oregon. And how did he handle that? You're on the staff of the University of Georgia, but now you're the head coach at Oregon, but you're still coaching for Georgia, but you got to recruit for Oregon. Boy, you talk about uncomfortable. I mean, how do you handle that? But anyway, you might wonder how Oregon did. They lost several of their projected commitments. Mario Cristobal, the head coach at Oregon, he's gone to Miami. Miami had a kind of a so-so day. When you leave a school and you go to another school, and you hadn't had time to build a staff and recruit and all that kind of thing. It can be tough. It can be rough. Anyway, Oregon probably, according to reports, will finish outside the top 35 as far as recruiting is concerned. They could do better. They have several guys who say, well, we're not backing off on our commitment, but we're not going to make a final decision until we talk to Dan Lanning and get to know him and see what he's about and what his staff is about and that kind of thing. So that's the big news today. We just wanted to pop in here. Southeast Mortgage, the official home loan lender of the Georgia Bulldogs, making it possible. I wonder, Uga's got that house. Uga's got a nice house. I mean, he's got air conditioning and, probably somewhere in there he's got a kitchen and a den and a living room and satellite TV. Who knows? It could be the Southeast Mortgage was the official home loan lender for Uga's doghouse. I cannot confirm nor deny that is true. But Southeast Mortgage, those are good folks. Those are good folks. And you know how stressful it is to buy a house. If you don't know how stressful it is and you plan on doing that one of these days, well, you'll find out. Been there, done that. That's a stressful thing. You got to do all of this paperwork and you got to give all of this stuff. And it can be a stressful thing. So if you have a good mortgage company, that will really help you become friends with you, and realize the stress you're under and say, look, we're going to help you through this. If you have a good mortgage company that will stand behind you and stand with you and give you support, man, that means so much. And they'll do everything they can to make sure that you get what you want. That means so much. Southeast Mortgage, the official home loan lender of the Georgia Bulldogs. Check them out. They'll help you. southeastmortgage.com/UGA. So we've talked about recruiting, just a couple of other things. I know you've heard this. Dan Lanning is gone, moving into his position. Glenn Schulman and Will Muschamp, they're going to serve as co-defensive coordinators for the Bulldogs starting into next season. Schulman is 32. He's the last original member of Kirby Smart's staff, his first staff at the University of Georgia. Muschamp, you know about Will, coached at Florida and at South Carolina. He's also served, of course, as a defensive coordinator at LSU, Texas, and Auburn. So they're going to share. They're going to be co-defensive coordinators. That's the plan going into next year. Got that? So Lanning is gone after Georgia beats Alabama in the national championship game. Let's see. The Orange Bowl. Let's just jump in there a little bit about the Orange Bowl. Friday, December 31st, 7:30 p.m. on ESPN. So say the game will start 7:30. They say 7:30. It never starts at 7:30. It'll start around 8 o'clock. And the game may go to midnight, which that means it'll be a new year, 2022. That'd be interesting. So Georgia taking on Michigan. I don't know. I don't know if I don't know what kind of recruiting class Michigan had today. They were not in the top 10, but anyway, Georgia and Michigan. Michigan first time in the playoffs. Georgia, this is the second time in the college football playoffs. The last time Georgia was in the playoffs, or the first time, the only time they were in the playoffs, they did go to the championship game. They beat Oklahoma. Remember that? Took out Mayfield and that crew. And then they went to the national championship game where they lost to Alabama in overtime. Don't bring it up. Don't talk about it. Georgia at the moment is a 7-point favorite to win over Michigan, but that number has kind of fluctuated a little bit with the news that Dan Lanning is leaving. The experts can't decide whether that's detrimental, will make a big difference, whatever. Jim Harbaugh is the coach at Michigan. Cade McNamara, a guy by the name of Cade McNamara, the quarterback, had a decent season. Passed for 2,470 yards, 15 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Good manager. Running back is where they're strong offensively. Michigan has Hassan Haskins. He rushed for over 1,200 yards on 261 carries, 20 touchdowns. Blake Corum, the other running back, 939 yards, 141 carries. Defensively, Michigan is led by defensive end Heisman finalist Aiden Hutchinson, and a great player. Michigan's defense, not bad. Ranked second in the nation in points allowed per game this season. In the top 10 and as far as yards allowed per game, the least number of yards. So for Georgia, there you go. You got Michigan, then you got Georgia, Stetson Bennett. We know about his year. JT Daniels. Big question continues to be, the chat boards are full of it. Talk radio's full of it. Instagram's full of it. Social media's full of it. Will Georgia replace Stetson Bennett with JT Daniels? I don't know, but we shall see. Tight end Brock Bowers, Zamir White, James Cook, Kenny McIntosh. Those are, the offensive stars for Georgia. Georgia's defense, tremendous. Even with a terrible game they had against Alabama, Georgia still leads the nation in points allowed per game, a little under 10 points a game. So what is your prediction? Well, I've been predicting this, that, and the other. I'm a terrible predictor, in the championship games, for all the conference championship games. I made some bold predictions, and I lost every one of them. Didn't get one of them right. Not one right. So, if you're looking for someone who is proficient in making predictions, I don't know if I'm the guy. But right now, my prediction is this. Georgia wins 34-10 over Michigan, with JT Daniels as the quarterback. Maybe, maybe not. So let's see. Our producer got all kind of stuff here lined up for us. Other notes: 8 Georgia players have accepted invites to play in the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. This is after the playoffs, after the national championship game. I think it's after the national championship game. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Anyway, the Senior Bowl, it's North versus South. They divide up the teams. It's a big showcase for players who want to improve their pro draft prospects, being drafted by the NFL. And so, guys like to go and they work out in front of pro scouts and things like that. Georgia has 8 players who have accepted Senior Bowl invites. Now that's important because that indicates these guys are not coming back to play for Georgia. 2 of the players, Devontae Wyatt and Justin Schaefers, are already super seniors. That is, they have used up all of their eligibility. Other players accepting invites to the Senior Bowl from Georgia: Quay Walker, Channing Tindall, Jamari Saylor, James Cook, Jake Camarda, and Darion Kendrick. So those guys will be in the Senior Bowl. It's a pretty good game to watch. Pretty fun game to watch, and they get after it because they're trying to show out for the pros. Of course, Georgia playing Michigan. That's one of the playoff games. Then you got that other one. Yeah, you do. And you got Cincinnati and Alabama in the Cotton Bowl. That's also Friday, December 31st. That'll be at 3:30 in Dallas. This is the Cotton Bowl game, and this is the other playoff, the semifinal for college football. Cincinnati 13-0, Alabama 12-1. Cincinnati had a decent recruiting day today. I was looking over some of their stuff. I think they were like 31st or something, which is the top recruiting class in that lower. They call it the Power Five class of football. So you got Cincinnati 13-0, Alabama 12-1. Alabama right now is a 13.5 point favorite to beat Cincinnati. Anytime that line moves, that line has fluctuated, but mostly when it fluctuates, it gets bigger for Alabama. New Year's Eve again, 3:30 on ESPN. Congratulations to Bryce Young for winning the Heisman Trophy. Tremendous season for that young man. And I loved his acceptance speech. And it showed tremendous humility, great teammate ethic. He's a fine young man. Congratulations to him. Well deserved. He deserved to be the Heisman Trophy winner. Passed for 4,322 yards, 43 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. And he sliced and diced the Georgia defense. That's all right. Payday's coming now. Payday's coming. In a good way. John Mechie suffered a knee injury. He's out for the rest of the season. And he was a big weapon against Georgia. But Alabama's got all those 5-star receivers. So one goes down, another comes in. So you got Cincinnati and Alabama, 14-point favorite. Alabama is our prediction as of right now. And I don't even know why I make these predictions. Somebody's dinging me on the phone. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't even know why I make these predictions. But as of right now, we're going with Alabama beating Cincinnati 41-10. I wouldn't take that to the bank. I would. But that's the way it is. And that's the way it is. Remember Walter Cronkite? Okay. You guys are not as old as I am, but I remember that. All right. Well, that's going to do it for our report tonight. We did want to just dip in here a little bit, talk about recruiting. Georgia did a good job with recruiting the number 3 ranked team in the 2022 recruiting cycle. Texas A&M 1, Alabama 2, Georgia 3. And that could change because, it's just the early signing period. And you still got February 2nd out there. And then, see, here's the thing with recruiting. You got all of this great recruiting. You got all the recruiting going on. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, then you have the transfer portal. And that has made a big difference for a lot of schools, including the University of Georgia. So you got all these recruits, and then you get the transfer portal, and you can get good quality players coming in. By the way, that Dr. Pepper commercial where the guy's going through the portal, and they try to talk him out of it. He goes out, and then a punter comes back through the portal, and he wants to play for their school, and they say, we don't really need a punter. But then he says, I brought Dr. Pepper. Oh, yeah, you can come. That's a good commercial. But I do miss Larry. Larry, the Dr. Pepper guy. I miss him. I kind of wish they'd go back to that. Does anybody drink Dr. Pepper? I do a Dr. Pepper diet, Dr. Pepper, every now and then. But it's good. I'm not against it. Not against it at all. All right. Well, that's going to wrap up our program. Thank you for. I know. My producer is saying in my ear, get out of here. Okay. We're getting out of here. Thank you for being with us on today's Sports Report, brought to you by Southeast Mortgage, the official home loan lender of the Georgia Bulldogs. And we're, of course, on UGA Football News on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you for being with us. Until next time, our final words, as always, is go Dogs. Absolutely.